Welcome to the Lava Lamp Lounge, your new favorite show where your new friends, Chris and Cody, talk about a board game and talk about a movie. Usually the board game and the movie are connected in some flimsy way. Appreciate all of you listening on Spotify or your podcast app of choice. And special thanks to all of you putting up with us by watching us on YouTube. So, the game we're going to open with, I feel, both of us, have a fair amount to say. You may wonder why it's not even showing up on the table here. That's because it's no longer in my collection for reasons we'll get into a little later in the review.
We fucking burnt it.
No.
Burnt it to the fucking ground.
You're gonna cut that. We don't want The World of Smog, Rise of Moloch. Now, the world of Smog is, I would say, a Victorian steampunk world. Would you say that's a fair,
very much
kind of summation of the world that the game takes place in?
Fun setting.
Yeah, it's an adventure game. It's a one-verse-all game where one person plays the nemesis, who has, in the grand scheme of the campaign, the story, has a nefarious plan to destroy Victorian London by summoning an elder god of some sort known as Moloch. And the game itself is played across multiple scenarios. Again, you have the evil player, known as the Nemesis, and the good players, which are known as the Unicorn Club. And they're all Victorian and steampunky, and you have a group, like I said, group of scenarios, and you have the option of playing the scenarios from beginning to end as a campaign, or the scenarios as one-offs, the different scenarios as one-offs, if you just want to do like a quick one-and-done type thing, which I actually think that's a cool option. There's like maybe 5 missions in the whole campaign, and then after a scenario's done, there's a buy phase, right, where all the players can explore London and get geared up. But
upgrades.
But what's kind of cool, and that's like a key kind of mechanic of this game, is the more the players buy stuff, the more stuff the Nemesis can spend points on.
And
so
we'll
basically
talk more about the balancing, because it is nice that when you buy stuff, the money goes to the Nemesis. When you use abilities
during the scenarios,
the price for using abilities, ether, goes to the villain, so they can also use abilities. Right. So there's a great, and
there's a back
like you
and
said,
forth. There's a huge back and forth with that.
The campaign, if you fail, then I think they try to balance it where the Nemesis gets something,
right?
And then, the good guys kind of have to, it does kind of carry through everything.
The artwork of the characters is awesome.
Sorry, ladies.
My favorite part of this game, actually, is the good guy characters.
Setting and design.
Yeah, and how they look, and how they all have these different special abilities and stuff.
Okay.
The characters all look really fun. And the bad guys, they have this kind of ominous, culty vibe, which is kind of cool, and everything's steampunked and sort of wonky, which is cool as well. What would you think about how complex the game is? Like, is it like a beginner-friendly game, or is it a gamer game, or what?
It's a gamer game for sure.
I mean, it's not tactical. It's dice
strategy. You have to work with people. You're working against someone. You have to really kind of know how to play your character to be efficient. Like if you are like the brute and you're trying to, do range stuff, obviously.
Whoa, look at the legs on that
thing!
Wow!
Yeah.
Because if you
like
don't know how to play
the sugar's hot on this side of the
thing, it's kind of useless. You spend the whole time chasing people down if you're not playing it right. And, so strategy is big in this game, and just knowing how games play in general. I think this is not for people who are new to games. This is not for people who just want to have fun playing a party game. This is
not a party game.
This is definitely for a group of friends that enjoy kind of competitive strategy play.
It's a tactical adventure game, and and it's a little back and forth, all verse one.
Yeah.
It's not the game itself. I guess isn't really particularly going with what you were just saying, but my side of it isn't particularly complex. It's just, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this or get hung up on it, but I think the rule book could be done a little better. Oh, sociability, player interaction. I mean, there's plenty of that.
Sociability, player interaction, yes. Because there is a team, so obviously you have to strategize with your team.
I guess you don't have to. You might have people who talk to each other.
I think it's hard enough to do it with a team, that if you're not strategizing and you're not working together, then you're going to be hosed.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to work together, and you're working against someone. So you're socializing the whole time. Like you are, you know, you're interacting the whole time. So I think it is a very kind of like you literally have to just like talk about what you're going to do. You have to plan out the mission. You have a goal as a team. So you have to work together. I think it is
I hate those
very
damn
much
things.
a social kind of
Well-
interactive game. Not socializing maybe, but you're interacting.
And one thing our group would never be accused of doing is not interacting.
Yeah.
One might argue that we interact too much. Right?
In this game, for sure. A lot of words being exchanged.
Are we going to talk about that now?
So what
are we
was
going
it-
to talk
what is
about
the
why it's not here?
what is
why
the
this
category-
game is not here? Do you want to do you want to get into that right now?
So
I think it's tragic. I think it's tragic personally, but
I fucking hate this game.
that being said, having said that,
I hate this game.
why? Because it brings out we've seen our friends at their worst.
When we play games, sometimes
Which we have said before, yeah.
we can get hot-headed. It depends on the person, it depends on the night, it depends on the game.
Right.
But for some reason, this game, it's like the kid who's watching his parents, like, slowly get divorced in front of him. Like, no. Obviously, we love all our friends, and we all play games all the time with each other.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this game was just perfect amounts of, like, rules that you can kind of interpret some ways and scenarios.
Let's consult Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
Yet again, how did they handle this?
So, we didn't play regularly enough.
Right.
You versus all of us.
Right.
And I think we read a couple of rules wrong, and so it made it harder on you. So it made us just it
Put
felt like,
asterisks next to their wins.
it just kind of like, yeah. Every time we played this game, I was just like, fuck this game. Why do we do this?
I think it was just the perfect storm of things.
Yeah.
Maybe like the wrong game at the wrong time. We didn't play it enough. We got a little too competitive with it. We weren't consistent with it.
Yeah.
Like we just, yeah. So I would have kept, and it is kind of tragic because I had so much shit for this game. It was taking up a lot of space on my shelf. But just from my experiences, like we were only had, I think, one or two
I think we had one scenario left
to finish
the campaign.
To finish it, and
Yeah.
I was just so soured by it, or I got the impression that a lot of other people were so soured by it, I just sold it. All right, well, there you have it. Rise of Moloch, one recommend, one very do not recommend.
Burn the fuck out of a game.
So, if you averaged your rating of a 3 and mine of a 7, what would that be a lava lamp average of?
5.
Put it there. 5. So, Rise of Moloch. Check it out. You might like it. So, what now, people who listen or have been watching for a while might guess, what movie are they going to recommend that maybe has, like, a steampunk slant that they're going to review?
Who can really say what it is that brings strangers together? Some relationships you can't even put into words. They just make you feel good. Other relationships come together through cataclysmic circumstances.
In a city celebrated for its diversity,
So this is Miami, huh? They can keep it.
the least likely people often meet through random acts of fate.
Could I offer you some coffee?
How do you, like it?
Light and sweet.
Big Trouble.
Big Trouble. Big Trouble is the movie we decided to pair well.
decided.
That we decided to pair with.
We decided.
That
No.
I decided to
Okay.
pair with Rise of Moloch.
And why did you do that?
The theme is things that we hate. I hate the Rise of Moloch.
Oh,
And Chris hates
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
Okay.
So the theme is hate. Hate is the theme of this episode, kids. Hate.
There's a board game called Hate.
Oh. So Big Trouble is I would consider it a.
I have the popcorn here.
So what's the guy's name who did?
Oh God, it's already falling
Hold on.
apart.
We're editing this out. Who's the guy that did Jackie Brown?
Quentin Tarantino. What?
No.
You definitely want to edit that out. But people don't know. He doesn't know who Quentin Tarantino is.
Big Trouble is I would consider it a low-rent Coen Brothers movie.
Oh God.
A low-rent Coen Brothers movie.
Very low rent.
With
very low rent. If you want to
different
go...
kind of little stories and characters kind of connecting together to create a larger story with kind of interesting, weird, offbeat humor, dialogue-driven kind of humor and stuff with weird scenarios happening. A very low-rent kind of Coen Brothers movie. So the plot of Big Trouble is a down-and-out journalist played by Tim Allen, who now works at a shitty little advertising company, gets roped into this intricate, kind of intertwining story where a bunch of loser burglars steal a bomb from a corrupt businessman, and their kids kind of get intertwined in a separate scenario, but essentially this bomb is being taken and a bunch of hostages are being taken through this kind of weird scenario with cops and students and mall cops and kind of FBI agents and Russian mob that kind of get intertwined to this bomb basically being the kind of the
MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin of the story that drives it. And Tim Allen's character, it's kind of an ensemble piece with like a bunch of different characters.
It's very much an ensemble piece.
Gets driven through the story to try to get this bomb, and it stars Tim Allen, Rene Russo, Ben Foster, Paul Putty,
Patrick Warburton,
Jeannie Garofalo.
That's not how you say her name.
Janine Garofalo.
It's actually. I was actually
who's
kind
the
of.
Malcolm?
I was Andy Richter.
Andy Richter.
I was actually surprised at how many people were in this film. There's a fair amount of people in this movie as far as cast. It's a very large cast, very much an ensemble cast. Dennis Farina, Jason Lee, Zoe Deschanel, Sofia Vergara, Stanley Tucci. Tom Sizemore,
Martha Stewart.
Yeah. So Big Trouble is a movie that came out in was released in 2002, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who also directed Addams Family, Get Shorty, Wild Wild West, Men in Black. Yep. And it's very much a ensemble caper film. Tim Allen kind of gets caught up in this. The movie kind of pitches itself as this diverse group of people from different walks of life getting into a ridiculous situation. Hilarity ensues. So you're kind of jumping through the different perspectives of these different characters in Miami, and there's a bomb that kind of is the focal point of all the characters. The story was originally written in a novel, Big Trouble, by Dave Barry, who I'm not too familiar with his work, but he's an author, humorist guy, and it was adapted from his novel. So
didn't you do War and Peace?
Yeah, he did. You know, when the credits rolled, I was paying attention. The credits rolled, it was about 78 minutes. This movie's only like a little longer than an hour.
I remember when they were like kind of, I can't remember what character said something, but like I was like, oh wow, they're getting to the like, because I've seen it before. They get into like the airport scene. I'm just like, oh wow, like that happened fast. Like there's nothing in between, certain things. So
and you'll also notice that airport security in this movie is remarkably lax.
It's funny because it came out after 9/11. It was made obviously before
9/11.
It was delayed because of 9/11.
Yes.
And I'm sure people watching it when it first came out after 9/11 were like,
"Oh, it's not like that anymore."
The characters are trying to find cops.
Yeah.
They're trying to get through security. Yeah. And it was pretty easy. But now, I'm sure right after 9/11, everyone's like, you can't.
Yeah.
Half the people at the airport are security.
Yeah.
So that's a not the movie.
That's not a knocks against the movie. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? General thoughts on this movie?
I don't know. Like kind of what I was saying. It's very breezy, a breezy ensemble piece. It just felt. I'm trying to give my general thoughts without revealing the ultimate way I feel about this movie. So
No, you got to go for it.
Oh, okay. I felt.
Why don't we start with our rating?
You want to just do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll guess yours.
Okay.
8.5.
7. I enjoyed the movie. I definitely enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed all the actors in it. It's a wacky story. It's dumb. It's simple. It's basic.
It's very basic. Well, why do you like this movie?
I thought the humor was fun. I like Tim Allen. I like Patrick Wahlberg. I think
Warburton.
Janine Garofalo.
Janine Garofalo.
I like her. I like the scenario. It's very simple. It's very basic. I like the humor. And I don't know. It's just like one of those movies that you could put it on.
Did you see it when Did you see it? When did you first watch it? This film?
Probably like 10 years ago.
Okay.
It was definitely older. I remember thinking, oh, I like all the actors in this. When I watch it, and then I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, it looks interesting. And I actually watched it. I'm like, hey, that's pretty darn funny. I liked it.
What do you think mine is? Actually, I'm still mulling it over. Give me a second.
Give an honest, full opinion.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Okay, I got mine.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better than you thought. The way you were talking about this game, it was going to burn your skin when you watched it. It was going to blow out your eyeballs. You were talking about like 3 or 4. So give me, why did you like it more?
Barely above average.
I'm assuming you liked it more than you thought, though.
Yes.
Why?
Well, number one, like I'm not a huge Tim Allen fan. I wouldn't consider this film a Tim Allen vehicle. Because you know how like most of the movies he's in, you're watching it because for one reason or whatever reason, you find Tim Allen funny and you like Tim Allen, you're watching the movie because he's doing his thing. This is not a movie where he's the focal point. It's an ensemble piece. I actually feel like they all kind of had equal screen time.
Yeah. Well,
like it's fully like an ensemble piece.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the story by Dave Barry was probably really good. I feel but I feel like maybe it just didn't for me. Maybe I would have thought better if I saw it when it first came out, or I saw it when I was younger with a different kind of lens. But I kind of feel like this movie was. Masturbation without the payoff, Wow. I feel like it was trying to be again more than it was with the caper stuff and the multiple narrators and stuff. It's like, oh well, Tim Allen's doing this kind of omniscient narrator thing, and Jason Lee is doing an opening as a narrator too. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, you can nix all that. Like, what are you trying to do with that? Like,
I feel like they almost put the bar up here when the movie should just be down here.
It's definitely,
and that's fine being down here.
Movies exist down there.
Yeah.
Yes,
and they're totally great.
And that's fine, and it can be fine. Yes, not all movies are great down there, but some can be. And
it did. That's why I feel like they're trying to do like a Coen Brothers, where it's a little bit bigger than
they were trying to
the zany scenarios they have.
They were trying to class up this.
Just go with the zany scenarios.
They were trying to class up this comedy, where in reality they should have made a Naked Gun or something.
Not that low, but yeah. But it should be
an ensemble Naked.
Funny. I think this had a great base of humor with great performances from good actors.
I wouldn't say great base of humor,
but like it could have been more. But I think it
could have been much more.
It was. I think it was fantastic the way it was. I thought it was a solid movie.
All right, you get one recommend from Cody on that one, and one not recommend for Big Trouble from me.
But
so
didn't hate it.
You average the 6 and the 7. You get a 6.5 from Lava Lounge for Big Trouble.
But didn't hate it. You thought you were going to hate this thing. You thought you were going to hate it.
Are you looking at this as like some personal crusade or something? You're like, well, you didn't hate it. He didn't hate it.
I'm just. That's why I'm digging my heels in this. It's like, hey, you didn't hate it. He's not that hateable. You know him from Home Improvement. What else do you know?
Yeah, I know him from a million things.
But what else? What else do you hate him in? I don't.
It was great in the Santa Claus.
There's the Santa Claus movies. There's the Jungle to Jungle movies.
That was you didn't hate that. That was solid.
There's the Galaxy Quest movies.
Solid.
There's
Great fucking movie.
There's For Richer.
Great fucking movie.
There's For Richer for Poorer.
Never saw
There's
that.
a I don't know what else. That's a bunch. There's a bunch more of it.
Jungle to Jungle. Solid movie. Whatever. Galaxy Quest. Great fucking movie.
Are we gonna go?
Big Trouble. Not bad.
Yeah. Why don't you save?
So you just don't like Home Improvement. Just say you don't like Home Improvement.
Why don't you just save all of these?
You don't like Home Improvement. That's fine.
For the Tim Allen episode that we'll eventually do, and then you can go and talk about all these Tim Allen movies to like your heart's content. But we're just talking about Big Trouble.
I feel like your hate for him is out of whack.
I don't hate him. I don't know him personally. I'm not a fan of his comedy. But that's enough Big Trouble for now. Average 6.5. Enough Tim Allen and Big Trouble. We spent way too much time on this movie. 6.5.
Hey, boys.
Watch it. Check it out.
Let's
right,
get
thanks for watching.
busy.
It's better than Marvel. It's better than Ant-Man 3.
Did you see Ant-Man 3?
Yeah, I've seen Ant-Man 3.
Was it not good?
It's not as good as... It's just
Not
as good as...
Are you invested in the blockchain? Do you know anything about NFTs? What are your thoughts? AI art? Are you for it or are you against it? The singularity, is that going to be taken over? Why don't you go? Is my money in a Swiss bank account? If so, what's the account number?